welcome to you all. My name is Andrew Chung, artistic producer of London Symphonia. And today I have with me three of my favorite people in the world. We have Glynis Ranney. Hello, Glynis.
Hello, Andrew.
We have Mike Nadajewski. Hello, Mike. And we
Hi.
have Ben Bolt Martin. Hey, Ben.
Hi, Andrew.
So these three people are largely responsible for creating the upcoming concert called Kindness on November the 2nd. And I'm delighted they've joined me today to talk about how it came to be and what it's all about for those who are wondering. Okay, so first of all, this concert, is this the first time that you've all worked together or there was a previous incarnation? Let's kind of tease out that story a little bit. Go, Glynis.
Well, I think it's the first time that the three of us have worked together on a piece
All at the same time.
all
Yes.
at the same time.
Right.
That's right. We've worked together at different times. I first met you, Ben, and you, Andrew, back in, I think it was 2012,
Oh,
when I first worked with Inner Chamber, and we did your production, Ben, of Lucky, which was so beautiful. And that was my first introduction.
And our son still remembers that production. He was how old?
Yes, I think he was 3,
Yes.
and he was very afraid of me. I was the evil
Evil.
queen, evil ice queen, and
Yes.
because he was very scared of me.
Wow.
you were dressed in your grade 8 prom dress or something. We went.
I was, it's true. Very periwinkle blue.
I was scared.
Yes. And you should be.
So that was the beginnings of it. And then this whole concert concept kind of came about. I think it was Glynis, you and Mike. I think you approached Ben and I about this.
Yes, yeah, we were certainly wanting to do something with Inner Chamber Orchestra, and I had kind of had throughout my mind for a few years, just always been moved by hearing stories of kindness and things that moved me when I would hear any stories from the simpler everyday acts to the more profound kindnesses. And when I was thinking of a subject matter, I just kept coming back to this exploration of how can we build a piece, an exploration on the theme of kindness, something that lifts us all up when we hear stories of such acts, especially in light of a world where there's a lot of suffering for a lot of people, and just feeling the real need to shine a light on our capacity for kindness with each other, from the small, simple acts to the larger, more radical acts of kindness, and how they lift us all up. So this really came to us, and we became very interested in this kind of exploration. And Mike was incredible in working with me on helping build a structure
I
for
was
this
fine.
piece. And how we could explore this theme. And then, oh, maybe you could say a few words about
Well, yeah.
that.
Well, we looked at different ways of approaching it and how we would present it. Maybe something a little more laid back and conversational, with a bit of banter and as though we're hanging out in our living room. And that's one way to approach it. But we thought that the content sort of could withhold something a little more formal, a little more structured, and allowed for a less prescriptive approach of us sort of talking about this. We think this piece is this kind of kindness, and we have this piece that is another kind of kindness, but just to really present them and let them unfold in front of you in real time, and let the resonances happen for the audience, which I think is more engaging for an audience to be sort of piecing that together and experiencing the range of different kindnesses and how they reflect upon one another. I was really excited by the opportunity to highlight the seemingly banal kinds of kindnesses that we interact with probably every day. And those kinds of kindnesses are um, uh, they're, to honor them. It's a bit tricky to sort of elevate them because they can seem so mundane, but it really is. They're quite special when you realize that there's an exchange that's happened. Like just the other day, I was literally just the other day, I was driving my son to school. I dropped him off and I was on my way back and I was on a main road and traffic was slowing down up ahead and there was a side street that opened out onto the main road and I was driving along and I thought I misjudged my how much space I'd have because traffic was slowing down and I thought, oh, I think it's going to move again. So I'm just going to move right up, behind this car. And then we stopped, and I was blocking that side road, which is a no-no. And so I turned to the driver who was waiting to make a turn onto the road, and I went, I'm so sorry, and they received it in such a like, oh, don't even worry about it. Yeah, it's okay, it happens kind of feel. And it was just really lovely. And I realized that exchange, you could say, I'm sorry, and you could sort of put yourself out there, and it can be received not in a kind way. He could have, flipped the bird or whatever. But he was very generous about it. Such a simple little thing that really set me off on the right. It really lifted me up in the moment. It was a lovely interaction.
It's about lifting you up, calming everyone down.
Yeah, that's right.
Temperature. And that can happen with these super simple moments in our lives, as well as those spine-tingling, incredible moments. But it's the simple ones, right? And so this concert is a blend of both in storytelling, but as well through song. And it's very special, though, the way that one weaves into the next, right? The mix, the blend of story and song. So it speaks to a fusion, really, right? And being stage actors yourself, musical superstars, dare I say, you're aware of the range. You're aware of the range of how this can play out on stage. And then Ben, so speak to me about this concept of what we would call fusion and why this concert stands out in that regard.
Well, I think the amazing thing about fusion is how it sort of allows each sort of form of art or each discipline to sort of become more natural. I think in a lot of ways when we do theater or when we do music, we're trying to be all things to all people at all times. We're telling our own narrative form. So if we're playing string quartets or we're playing symphony concerts, we're playing Tchaikovsky, all of a sudden we're trying to be this whole thing that is all encompassing, and it's a lot of work and doesn't always fill in all the gaps. And so when we work together, we work across disciplines and stuff like that. It really allows us to let the part of our own discipline that really is doing the work to really shine, and we can sort of relax into the approach, right? So when we do fusion, when we work across disciplines, it really allows what we have to bring to the table to be something special, and it elevates. So for example, if we're writing, as we've got a couple of great stories on this concert, tons of great stories, but the couple that ended up getting set to music, and those what it really allows is it allows the narrative to be the narrative, and it allows the music that I write to relax and have something to really anchor it to the form that comes out. So you end up with this beautiful if everything has gone the way we hope it will, you won't really notice the music and you won't really notice the story happening. What you'll notice is yourself being pulled along into this sort of extra space that's happened because all of the different forms, the different ways that we tell the story are really allowed to settle into what they do best. And so that's the exciting part about fusion, is that we get to bring to it exactly what we have to offer. And it's kind of part of, I mean, if I'm going to get all metaphorical and stuff, it's kind of part of the kindness story, is that we don't have to be all things at all times. We don't have to save the world. We just have to interact with each other in a way that really feels comfortable and feels natural to us. And that's the sort of the joy of this actual experience, is that I get to bring my music to me, and I don't have to put it out there and say, hey, look at me, isn't this marvelous? It can kind of just sit there and try to evoke the feelings that are being shared with the narrative and with the song and everything like that. And it all kind of does what it does best. And so that to me is the best part about fusion.
That's beautifully said. It's so I feel like when we that this concert sort of is in service of we're all in service of one another, of lifting one another up, in service of the story and in service of the theme. At the end of the day, I do want to point out, though, even though we are fusing, that there is some beautiful original composition from Ben that is very special,
and gorgeous arrangements.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the moments where this original composition comes, just so people understand Ben's role in this, which is pretty awesome. Ben's composed original music to underscore these stories, some of which are substantial in length. I just love the sense of fun. And obviously, you know, Ben, you worked in the theater for so many years. You just have such a great innate sense for how to highlight the story, not take over the story. I love the way you've explained this kind of about and fusion in each art form, lifting. It's like you know, shouldering the burden together to kind of provide an experience for the audience. So yeah, you've got that kind of kindness, that kind of interaction between the two art forms, between the performers, between the story, and then the audience gets to experience that. It's multi-layered.
There are many moments of lightness and humor as well.
And so, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. As well as going to some more heartfelt and serious places, there's a lot of moments of lightness and humor within the music. And we love Ben's music so much, and it stays with us as we've worked on this piece. It just lives inside of us.
So the songs that you're singing in this concert, we've got Emily Remembers by Shirley Eichhardt, If We Only Have Love by Jacques Brel, from Jacques Brel. It takes two by Stephen Sondheim, La Vie en Rose by Edith Piaf, and Mrs. Remington by Neil Bartram. How did you select this eclectic mix of songs? Was Ben involved in that selection, or was it you and Glynis and Mike?
I think it was a real combination. I know, speaking with you, Ben, you had some suggestions about about some songs, particularly Edith Piaf and La Vie en Rose, and the story behind that, the story of kindness behind that. And we looked for, it was also an excuse for me to get to hear Mike sing one of my favorite songs ever about a very kind teacher, written by Canadian composers Neil Bartram and Brian Hill, about the kindness of a teacher and what that can do for a child, how that can uplift a child. So some of my favorite songs ever throughout the years are these songs that are in the program. Emily Remembers, Song of Bernadette, Mrs. Remington. So they're songs, I think, on a personal level that had always moved me and that I loved. And so what a joy to get to put them into a package and a context as we have in our concert.
That's so great. And then
you guys both have this, sorry, you guys both have this great, history, of performing and living as musical theater performers, right? I mean, you guys have this background and this stuff. I mean, is this, sorry, I'm taking over this interview for a second, Andrew. Is this stuff that you guys, this is at its heart stuff that really expresses sort of how you view the world? Is this kind of like, is this material that is part of your sort of outlook on the world in general? Because I mean, you guys have been in theatrical roles for your for your whole working lives, and this kind of way of expressing yourself. Does it feel natural? Does it feel like this is just who I am?
I think so. In many ways, as we move through, I feel like we're sort of collecting, right? We experience new pieces, new music, new shows, and you can't help but connect with certain pieces more than others. And I sort of, certainly as we move along, I just sort of collect them in my mind's eye and in my binders. Oh, I love this song, or sometimes it's a song that I'm not singing, but I know, oh, I love that piece. It really speaks to me. I want to hold on to it. Sometimes you just grab onto a song and you go, I know I want to sing this somehow and somewhere, and I don't know how or where yet, but eventually opportunities can present themselves where you can go, oh, this would be perfect. I've been wanting to sing this song for 20 years. Or sometimes it's a song that you've always sung that is just and it's so malleable that you can find, wow, I can sing it in this context or this context. I can use it as an audition. It can be something I do at a benefit. It's a party trick, like whatever you want it to be. So there are some pieces out there that are really really malleable. So it was a really comfortable familiar process to sit down and go, kindness, what moves us and what are we drawn to? And what are the different forms of kindness could you look through this particular song through the lens and you go, wow, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Let's see if that applies. Yeah, it was a very satisfying process.
Absolutely.
And nice to do it with your wife. That's always a blast.
So cute.
An example, a big example of that, I think, would be "It Takes Two" that we're doing the concert written by Stephen Sondheim from the musical Into the Woods. And in our working life, Mike and my working life, that definitely has been where we have lived for a lot of our working life. Both of us doing a lot of Sondheim, and to take the song from Into the Woods in a certain context and then see it through the lens of our theme of kindness was really satisfying to get to do that, and just to speak Stephen Sondheim's lyrics or sing them, and his music, so prolific, so beautiful. So that absolutely is a big part of who we are in our working lives, and such.
That's such a highlight of this show. I love the way you two sing that. Really, just with so much heart, and yeah, imbued with this additional meaning. This is our life. It takes two. I
Yes.
love it. I love it.
Really
Well,
does.
thank you to you both, to you three rather, for joining me for this interview. Getting a little bit of insights. We haven't given too much away as to what this will all sound and feel like in the hall, but I'm really excited to hear Ben's new London Symphonia edition of these arrangements of these pieces and the original music, underlining the great stories that you both tell. So I look forward to Kindness on November 2nd. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Andrew.
much.
Thanks, bye.